Good afternoon. Thank you for joining us for the 2024 primary election candidate campaign overview. This training was conducted before candidate filing day, and we're now doing this after candidate filing day to make sure that you as a candidate or you as a campaign have all the information necessary to have a successful election. Presenting today is myself. I am Rosangela Ortiz, Chief Deputy, Bureau of Elections, and we also have Mitchell.
Good afternoon. It's Mitchell Cox. I'm the Voter Outreach Coordinator. Thank you all for attending.
And today we're going to go over what to expect. So we cannot tell you how to win an election, but we will be sharing best practices. We can tell you how to best utilize the data available to you, and also where on our website you can find that information. We want to make sure to work together to make sure that Santa Fe County continues to be a high voter turnout county. As always, team turnout is part of our logo and what we like to share, and we want to make sure that Team Santa Fe continues to excel. Today we're going to go through Elections 101. We're going to go through a few slides about requesting data, get out the vote best practices, also important dates and information to keep in mind. We will review the online absentee ballot portal, as well as best practices on how to communicate with our county. SantaFe.vote. We want to make sure that you understand our website resources, and we'll go over a few post-election items like election results, and also in general, some of the things we've been doing here in our office. So Elections 101. Here you'll see a map of the Santa Fe County voters that voted while living overseas. So these are called federal qualified electors. So in the regular local election, we had a little over 200 voters that voted while living overseas. This is something that is a federal mandate, and so every single jurisdiction across the United States has to accommodate this. In addition, we have in-person voting, and that means you can vote early or on election day. We have absentee voting, and in New Mexico, there is no excuse for you voting absentee. This just means that you will receive the ballot in the mail, and you can vote in the comfort of your home, and you can return the ballot whether you return it in person at our county clerk's office, any of our drop boxes, or any of our polling sites during regular business hours. We also have visually impaired voters. This is for voters that would like to vote independently and also have a screen reading technology available to them. The ballot is read via screen reading technology, and voters will then be able to vote independently and return the ballot the same way, either in the mail or by dropping it off. In addition, safe at home voters are those voters that are in a situation where their address needs to be kept confidential. So this is a program administered by the Secretary of State's office, and if you know of any voters in this situation, please refer them to the confidential address program, and this information is available online at the Secretary of State's website. In addition, we have voters with disabilities, and each polling site in Santa Fe County will have an accessible voting machine, and this means that you can sit. If you are in a wheelchair, you can also listen to the ballot being read to you, and then you can independently vote and cast your ballot. In New Mexico, we have various types of elections. Last November, we just finished a local election. So that is called the regular local election. Now we're getting ready for the primary. And the primary in New Mexico is semi-closed, which means you have to be registered with a major party in order to participate. However, if you're not, you can choose to update your registration at each of our polling sites with the same day voter registration stations. In addition, in November, we'll have the general, and then there are occasions where we have special elections. And special elections are conducted via all mail, which means that every single person in that district will get a ballot sent to them in the mail. There's no need to request one. Here's some deadlines. So a notice was actually sent to every single registered voter in late April. This is actually the second time we're doing this, and this will make voters aware that there's an election going on. In addition, we're getting close to our online registration close date. So online registration, which means NVD registrations, also online voter registrations, will come in all the way till May 7th. And at that day is when we will close online voter registration. You can continue using paper registrations. However, those will not be processed until after the election. So that means that the only day or the only way you can register is using the same day voter registration stations at each of our polling sites. May 21st is the last day to request an absentee ballot. And we want to make sure that when you are talking to voters, you're letting them know to give them the opportunity, or at least 7 days to give the ballot the opportunity to get back to us. So we're asking them to mail it with at least 7 days to go. June 1st is the last day to vote early, and that will be a Saturday. In Santa Fe, we have the most early vote sites. So we do have 10 early voting convenience centers, and we can go through a list in a few other slides. And on election day, we will have 33 election day convenience centers, and they're spread out all over the county. Other information to consider, we want to make sure that you make a plan, whether it is voting on the first day possible, which will be May 7th at the county clerk's office, or via an absentee ballot, which means you have to request a ballot, or on election day. Same day registration is available during both early vote and election day. So what's on the ballot? Our website, which is santafe.vote, has all of this information. We do have the United States President, U.S. Senate, also U.S. House of Representatives, as well as state senators and state representatives. In addition, we have the Public Education Commission, District Attorney, County Commissioner, County Clerk, County Treasurer, and Magistrate Judge. So we are asking you to go to nmvote.org to make sure that you review your sample ballot, review who's on your ballot to make sure that you are making an informed choice. On our website, you can also find out information about dates, how to track your ballot, drop box locations, how to find the polling site closest to you, and also just how to make sure that you are registered, or if you need to update your registration, you can also visit our website. On nmvote.org, it is the website posted by the Secretary of State. You can also find the candidate portal. The candidate portal will list all of the candidates as well as in which order they are. And remember, this is a party primary, which means all of the Democratic candidates will be together, all of the Republican candidates will be together, and all of the Libertarian candidates will be together. A primary election is a nomination election, which means that you win the right to go on to the general. So the election candidate portal is where you find a list of all parties, not just in our county, but all over the state. On our website, you can also find information about how to request data. So here you can request 2 types of data. One is the absentee ballot register, which we're recommending you do because it is data that you can get daily and it is also free. You can also request other types of data, such as voters who have voted in previous elections. And this is a way for you to know who are going to be the most likely voters to vote. So voter data is subject to the election code, not the IPRA, which means that only those that are part of a campaign or part of a election or government organization can request data. On our website, under information for candidate and campaigns, you can find all of this information. On our website, you can also find information about how to request an absentee ballot. This is a portal, so we are requesting that if you can do this electronically. and it is also by visiting nmvote.org. If for some reason you prefer not to use the internet, then we also have the paper form, and this paper form will come directly to us, and it also gives you the opportunity to be on the permanent absentee register. This means that this will be the last time you request an absentee ballot. Every other election from now until you decide not to, you will get a ballot sent to you 28 days in advance. The absentee register, which I briefly mentioned earlier, is continuously updated, and it's a list of voters who have either voted early or have requested to have a ballot sent to them in the mail, so an absentee ballot. We want you to fill out the form if you would like this information, and it is on a schedule. So as early as May 7th, this will be sent to you twice a day. Okay, now we're going to transition over to Mitchell, which he will go over best practices on how to get out the vote.
Yes, thank you, Rosangela, and thank you everybody again. We want to start with our get out the vote best practices that we issue to campaigns. Again, we can't tell you how to win or tell you what the best way is to reach voters. What we can tell you is some of the best practices that we elect to follow and we choose to inform everyone else about. The first we already mentioned is the absentee register, which has a confusing name because it also enables you to see who voted early in person. All in early voting is considered a type of absentee voting. So you'll get an update every, I believe, 12 hours with a list of voters who already participated in the election. And it's best practice to remove those voters from call lists, from door knocking, because these are your most loyal supporters. You don't want to punish them for getting out and voting for you as early as they can. And again, we advise that a list that's more than 3 to 4 hours old is too old. And this applies more, of course, when voting is happening. Obviously, the list won't change much overnight, other than the ballots that we may receive in the mail via absentee. But it's best practice to avoid poking voters who already voted. And the data available in the absentee register is the exclusive way to receive data according to statute. So there's no other way, no more direct way, and no faster way for you as the campaign to receive this data other than from the absentee register. So really, we believe all candidates from all races should sign up for this list because it's free and it's easy. Next slide, please. We want to go over some important dates. Of course, many of these have passed now. April 20th was actually when the very first ballots were sent out to our FQE voters. We went over briefly, those are our overseas and military voters. They are the voters who get their ballots before anybody else because it takes more time often to get voters all the way to other parts of the world. April 23rd, we began our tabulator certification, which as of today, which is May 1st, is complete. So congratulations to our team for having a quick and efficient certification process. And of course, we had invited all 3 major parties to come in and observe, and we had representatives observe that process, and everything went very smoothly. May 7th, we went over, is the last day to register to vote online. It's also the day that absentee ballots get sent out, and these are regular absentee ballots that get sent out in the mail. And of course, in-person voting also begins at the clerk's office. And coupled with that is same-day registration, which is now available at every single polling site. That includes all early voting and election day sites. May 18th is when we'll expand to 9 additional early voting sites around the county. We have 2 new sites this election. There's a change in Edgewood. We are now at the fire station down there. And we now have Nancy Rodriguez Community Center, which is towards the south side of town here in Santa Fe. The 21st is the last day to request an absentee ballot. This has been a more recent change in statute where now 2 weeks prior to election day is the deadline to request. And that is because we have had issues with the mail, with the ballots taking up to 7 days each way. So we want to ensure that voters request their ballots early and send them back into us. It's not on there, but May 28th is a date that we recommend the last day for voters to send their ballots back into us by mail, because after that date, we cannot guarantee that we'll receive them on time for them to be counted. June 1st is the last day of early voting, and that means that all 10 early voting sites are open, including the clerk's office, which is not typically open for Saturdays. And that's 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. at all 10 early voting sites. And then June 4th, of course, is election day, 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. The polls are open, and we have 33 sites all around the county. Voters can go to whatever site they choose with the new VCC, that's Voting Convenience Center program that we have. Next slide, please. And now we went over briefly, of course, why it's important for you to communicate with us early and are the best practices for communication between you and I, or you and us, I should say. First of all, if you're attending this training or if you're watching this video, you're already doing more than most. So we very much appreciate you. But it's important if you have any questions or concerns, or if you have common voter questions coming up, to contact us first, because we are the source, of course, for that information. And we want to give you accurate, up-to-date, current information. So the best channel for communication for elections related questions is that elections@santafecountynm.gov. We'll be very responsive to you. Email is preferred because it's something that we can see and refer back to, and also ensure that we are responding in a timely manner to your requests. And of course, we recommend being respectful and professional. We will always be professional and respectful to you. We ask that you do the same for us, and we appreciate everyone so far. We have had no issues with any candidate being disrespectful towards us or our staff, so we very much appreciate that. We're all on the same team, and we call it team turnout, and we're trying to work collectively to uphold the integrity of elections and, boost turnout for the primary. Next slide, please. So SantaFe.vote, this is our elections information website. We call it the one-stop shop for voting information in Santa Fe County. And of course, if you have voters in Rio Arriba or other counties, go to their respective clerk's office website. But for our county, we have a very good comprehensive site. We have maps, and that's all the current up-to-date maps of all the districts in Santa Fe County. We have a rolling FAQ list, which updates based on the kinds of questions that we get. Right now, we're getting a lot of absentee requests, so that's at the top. Pretty soon, when early voting starts, we'll have questions about where can I vote or what time are they open. All that information is going to be on there and easy to find. We have our comprehensive list of polling locations for early and election day. That includes both a list and a map. So in that map, you can import and you can plug in your address and see what voting site is closest to you. In addition to that, we also have a similar list and map for our Dropbox locations. And these have not changed in the past few years, but they are similar to our early voting sites where it's all around the county. There's about 8 or 9 of them. I don't know the exact number, but they are easy and accessible to voters all across the county. And it's best practice for, if you don't know where to drop it, then go to our Dropbox site. And then in addition, we have the ability to track your vote by SMS. This doesn't mean just tracking it in the mail. You'll also know when the ballot has been received by our office and when the ballot has been tabulated. So we're giving more information than just what the mail tracking will give you. Next slide, please. So recently, this was yesterday actually, we began testing for the mock elections. So when you go to the results page at nmvote.org, which is the Secretary of State's website, you may see election results. Don't freak out. It's not real. This is just how we ensure that on election night, we can get the results out as quickly and efficiently as possible. Santa Fe County prides ourselves in being the first county to report results in the RLE and also the 2022 general. And because we're a fairly large county, it looks good to ensure that all the votes are counted in a timely manner, and the mock election enables us and all other counties around New Mexico to succeed on election night. And on SantaFe.vote, which is our website, we also have real-time turnout tracking. There's a more comprehensive list this time than last time. It does break it up by party and Don't be concerned. There's no personal information of any voter that'll be revealed on this tracker. The only information that's there is the party of the voters. So let's say if there's 1,000 Democrats, 1,000 Republicans, and 1,000 Libertarians who voted, there would all be 1,000 listed there under early voting, for example, if they voted early. But there's no other information. And the reason why we break it up is because in a partisan primary, each party's election is technically a separate election. Like the Democratic primary result has nothing to do with the Republican primary result. They're completely independent elections. But we also wanted to brag a little bit about our turnout in the RLEs, which has increased significantly in the past few years. Last year, we set a record with our turnout. We beat every large county in New Mexico, including Los Alamos, which is our main rival when it comes to turnout. Next slide, thank you. And of course, we went over this briefly already. At nmvote.org is where you'll see election results. Those start pouring in at 7 p.m. on election day. And when I say pouring in, they are pouring in very quickly. We intend to be wrapped up with our results before midnight. We've never stayed past midnight reporting results. But it's important to note that these results that you see on election night, especially for those really close races, they're the unofficial results. There still may be some changes or ballots that are cured, for example, between when the results come in on election night and when they're certified. But there has never been a case where an election has flipped, at least not yet, because no election has been that close based on the initial results versus the certified results a few weeks later. But again, the results on election night are informative, but they are not 100% complete. And we want to go over briefly some important dates post-primary, because the election continues for us. It doesn't just end on election night. June 4th is, of course, election day. And at 7 o'clock, the polls close, we report results. No sooner than June 10th and no later than June 14th. And we usually shoot for June 10th. That's when the County Canvassing Board, which is the Board of County Commissioners, meets to certify the election results. And that's just one of the steps of the certification process. June 21st is when the 2024 auditor selects precincts for post-election voting systems check. And what that means is we go and we hand tally each of these precincts that are selected to ensure that they match what the machine tally says. They have never not matched. We don't intend for them to ever not match. It's a process that does take some time, but it is part of the crucial steps to ensure election results are accurate. June 25th is when the State Canvassing Board will meet to certify those results. And on that day and afterwards, the results that you'll see on election from the elections page are now the official results. June 27th is the filing day for independent, minor party, and write-in candidates and for judicial retention. But there's a separate, of course, nomination process for these candidates versus the major party candidates. And 2024, we've done a lot of voter outreach, focusing both on our youth groups and our seniors. Most recently, we've been going to senior centers to inform voters, because these are voters who most often vote by mail, absentee, that they can now sign up for the permanent absentee voter list. And this enables them to save on time and paperwork for future elections. We've been going to different senior centers all around the county to advertise and help these folks out. High school seniors and even juniors who are not yet old enough to vote but can still pre-register, we've been focusing on them, getting that excitement and engagement up with our youth demographics. And we've also reached out to our veteran groups here in Santa Fe County and have made a special effort to reach out to both our veterans who live here at home and folks who may still be overseas to ensure that everyone has the right to vote. Next slide, please. And of course, we've already began our elections prep work with site visits, technician trainings, machine certifications. This ensures that our staff is well equipped to handle any technical difficulties that may come up. And that's anyone on our staff. All of us are certified, so we can all help out and assist if needed. This has been a great process to and a great learning experience for us to ensure that we know how the machines work and can explain that in layman's terms to anyone who may ask. We have, of course, early voting beginning next week, May 7th at the clerk's office, but that doesn't mean that we are just sitting on our butts and waiting for other sites to open. We're doing a lot of work to ensure that every site is open and operating efficiently. And this involves, site surveys, visits, plans, all that stuff. So we appreciate the hard work of our team.
And that is the end of our presentation. We look forward to answering any questions you may have. We also want to make sure that you understand that this is a partnership. We want to get out the vote as much as you do. And so please send us any questions at elections@santafecounty.nm.gov that we will all receive and answer questions timely. In addition, we may send out a survey just to inform us through your survey participation if this was beneficial to you, and if you would like any other topics, just like these type of presentations, to be shared and presented. So with that, we thank you for participating in this webinar. Thank you, Mitchell, and thank you everyone for being here. Until we meet again.
Thank you, everybody. Have a good evening.
Bye-bye.